Welcome to this Inwards and Upwards show. We've got a very special guest tonight here with our group meeting at the Bright Beings Academy with Liza Florida and 8 Billion podcast. And we're going to go into many different things, but one of these things is the fifth dimension, going into the fifth dimension, which I find absolutely incredible personally. So if you just take a moment for yourself and just think of a word, say, let's think of a word, peace. Think of that word, peace, just in your head. Just think of it, peace. Don't think about the connotations or the meanings of it. Just think of the word peace. So did you hear that word in your head? Did you hear it without your ears? Did you feel it or sense it? Yeah, we all do, right? This is our thought process. So where's that come from? It's not from the physical body. The physical body goes in and out, left and right, up and down. But this was something else. So let's again now close our eyes and picture something from the past, from your pineal gland. So really focus on something from the past, And then picture something from the future. Picture yourself in a happy place. Let's keep it bright. Picture something in a happy place in the future. So you either see something or you sense something when you do that. So what is that? Now, personally, I'm starting to realize that this is us moving into the fifth dimension, because those of you going through the dream method at the moment or about to start the dream method, you're going to be tuning yourself up more into living a natural life, which is what this is really all about, this existence as human beings. And we can attach ourselves to this fifth dimensional way of living the more we tune into our intellect and tune into our intelligence and move out of our intellect. So that's really the biggest thing for me, really, with the dream method, is for you to tune yourself up so that you can live the life that you came here to live, your life purpose, literally. So I'll stop talking now, and I'll pass you over to Liza. So welcome, Liza. It's so great to have you here in the UK. There's a few of us here in the UK. I think we've got a few over in America as well. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Peter. I am so honored to be here with all of you guys to share this space with you, whether you're here in the United States or in the UK, or if you are listening to a replay of this. Peter, what I wanted to ask you really quick before I start, if I can, this is going on recording, right? That's what you were saying. It's going to be it's released as a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only reason that I asked, if you are listening to this recording, is because I wanted to make this a little bit more interactive. However, I did hear that Peter was going to say that we can leave some of the questions for later, but I kind of wanted to get an insight of what each of you guys do and just, like maybe present your name and what you do, so then I can get an idea, because what I'm going to do today, as Peter was saying, was share, of course, the fifth dimensional consciousness. I'm going to share my journey as the founder of the 8 Billion Project. What led up to me saying yes to my spiritual calling? How has my mission evolved? And of course, talk about the fifth dimension and share with you guys everything, so then it ignites your soul and inspires you. Although I know that you guys are already here because you're in this container with Peter. So if you prefer that, I don't know if I could just take a quick minute and have some of you guys, if you'd like to chime in and share a little bit what you do you mind? So then I can hold this space for all of us in this next hour of this activation. Anyone?
Jan. Oops. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself.
Oh,
there we go.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. I'm a Reiki healer, but I find I'm listening to you because I would like to connect more strongly with the source, as we call it, or outside. I don't want to put a label on anything, but I don't feel properly connected, although I have understandings. So I'm looking for something that will take me that extra step, if you like. Okay, anybody else?
Anyone else?
I'll go. I'm Barb. and I'm in Minneapolis. I am a complex trauma therapist and have also worked as a holistic counselor. I'm a Reiki master. I'm an intuitive, and I really want the next stage of the last stage of my career. I'm 63. I want to really return to my holistic nature and really make this last 10 years or 15 years be all about nature-centered work, and just making my whole practice holistic in a way that it hasn't ever been before. They've kind of been two separate tracks. And so I want to integrate all of that. So that's me.
Anyone? Oh,
Can I speak?
let's go, Lynn. Yeah, I'll have you, Lynn, and then I'll call it.
Yes, I've been I'm qualified in counselling hypnotherapy, and for the last couple of years I've found I'm doing spiritual counselling. So I've got people opposite me who benefit and almost sort of come out of themselves by connecting them with their spiritual side. So I'm on that journey at the moment, not knowing what to do with it because it's not quite a certified thing. So I'm just on an expansion journey, discovering all the different things that are on my path. And I'm a healer, and I've done Reiki, and I've been doing spiritual healing for a healing sanctuary who were suffering in the, financially in the COVID. And I do cruise bereavement support as well, which is an organisation in England where you're trained to go into people's homes and help them to realise they're not going mad, with the grief. So that's a sort of rough outline. Thank you.
I love that, Lynn. Thank you so much. Colette?
Hello. I'm in the south of England, in Bournemouth. My work has changed to become a massage therapist and an RTT hypnotherapist. The spiritual side of life has always pulled me a lot. And so for me, it's self-development. And if I can take that into my practice, then that's great. So a deeper understanding. I don't really understand a lot about the different dimensions and what they are and how they're formed and how they function. So maybe a little bit of knowledge with that to help support my spiritual growth. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Colette. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. So thank you for everyone that is here today that I'm holding space for. And that's why it was, I really wanted to try something a little bit different instead of doing a presentation. Although I am going to be going into that, but I really wanted to get to know and those that actually wanted to step forward with sharing the work that they do, so then I can, at least a part of my presentation, address any of those things that you guys were talking about. And Colette, you're in for it, because I will be explaining the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. And I didn't even know that I was going to do that today, but this is going to be great. So thank you again, Peter, for having me on here. And thanks for those that are listening to the recording, as I just wanted to share this space with the people who are here right now, but I'm also equally holding space for those of you that are tuning in on a replay. So my name is, of course, Liza Florida, as you guys know that. I am the founder of the 8 Billion Project. Currently, or in 2020, I said yes to a spiritual calling, and I didn't know what it was going to look like at all. I had, to be honest with you, an awakening in the beginning of maybe 2008, but I kind of understood energy. I started understanding things outside of maybe You know, I was born Catholic and then raised as a born again Christian. So I started having a series of events that happened to me in 2008. For those of you guys maybe in England or in the UK had seen what had happened to us in the United States, where we had the big mortgage crash, or they call it the mortgage meltdown. We were in real estate. I have a family business that's still that today, but of course I really am fully in my mission right now with 8 billion. And that became the first thing of really kind of stepping outside, like, what has all this material wealth got me? You know, it was amazing while it lasted, you know, money was raining from the sky, but then the tides turn and we literally watched so many families lose their homes. And so that's where I got my first probably awakening, like, is there more to life than just this? Because you can have these moments where, you know, you can have this great success, and I want to reference to this, hopefully some of you guys will understand it, in the 3D or in the matrix world, and I think you would understand that because maybe Peter would use that a lot. We have this tendency to, of course, define success by our careers, the money that we make, everything, as you know, which is from the conscious mind and ego. And so that became the first part of maybe my spiritual awakening. But really, when it catapulted, to be honest with you, was in 2018 when I lost my mother. And then, of course, I went through a series of, you know, whether I was going to fill her shoes because she built a really big real estate team, or whether I was going to really kind of heal and listen to what maybe Source was trying to say. So, or was trying to, I think at the time, I would say I was just trying to figure out my extrasensory things, like what was coming in, how could I interpret all of these extrasensory things that I was starting to experience. And when I say that extrasensory, I can say things like when you guys see angel numbers, or when you guys get these hits of intuition, or, you know, you're wondering if these things are real, because historically we've grown up in our conscious egos, and right now where we are in human history, all of that is starting to shift. And so we are these waves of these light workers, whether you'd like to, you know, if that's what you know, identify with or not, we're holding a different vibrational frequency for humanity. And so each of us are beautiful reflections of the gifts that we are born here with. And so some of you guys, I know that you guys are trying to navigate through, like, well, I'm a Reiki healer. I do like holistic teaching, or I'd like to take this to the next level. And it's perfect because you guys are here for that reason. Where the energies right now, especially if you guys are into it, we are in the middle of today, the partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. And so of course, eclipse season always brings about major change and transformation, and you could see it, and it's been happening all of this year. If you can sense on a deeper level, the world is changing. I think all of us were sensitive souls and understand that and kind of knew it, and that's why you're here today. You are a reflection of a gift or something holistic, or something that kind of told you more to be a representation of that. And in some cases, maybe you guys have shifted from a career that was completely different than what you guys are doing right now. So, and that has been my story. I was, of course, full-time real estate in 2019. I started seeing angel numbers. I started understanding, and it was weird. I would have to admit that maybe in my 30s, it was really a time of great, like I would say, like great loneliness. I was going through major change. I did have a career in real estate, but can't say it was truly fulfilling, because back in 2008, I had already seen what it, the real, the extreme side of people losing their homes. I was in essence just maybe surviving in a career, or kind of just operating, not really with my heart so full. Losing my mother was big because she was the matriarch of the family. She was the leader, but in addition to her being such a successful businesswoman, she had a huge heart. She actually started a nonprofit organization, went back to the Philippines to do, medical and school supplies for the kids. And so I think I took that part. So I definitely went through huge transformation right after her passing. And then I also understood what a sensitive empath and sensitive soul that I was. I never really understood what that was, but I think growing up from the time that I was young, I was always the one that like probably looked at life from the set of rose-colored glasses, they say, or like I'm the idealist and I could see a vision. Now I understand why I saw those visions when I was younger, was because my mission here is being played out today. And so, like I said, I was going through such a deep healing process. My healing process after my mother passed first started with a Reiki healer and energy healer. And what was interesting about that is the story behind that, and I'm just going to pay attention to time. I was visiting my mom at her gravesite, and I said, Mom, I have this, what we identify in Western medicine as anxiety, right? I have this anxious feeling in my chest. I've had this for a long time as a child. I was like, I can't, for the first time in my life, I feel like it might not be mine. So I said, I'm going to go look for a Reiki healer. Please guide me in helping me find one. So that day I went to go look for Reiki healers. I said, contacted 3, and I said, whoever contacts me first is going to be my Reiki healer. I just said that. That's the way that's how much I believed in that the universe would deliver the human soul that was supposed to help me with this. I ended up, she's actually a very good friend of mine today and part of my podcast season 3. And, I'll share her name. Her name is Marissa Greco. She ended up taking me down a 1.5-year journey of Reiki and energy healing. My first session with her, I told her, I feel something on my chest. And for the first time in my life, I don't believe it's mine. And she said, you're right. And then I said, I am. She goes, yes, because it's energy. And so what I discovered is that I was a deep empath, that for most of my life, I had been picking up different people's energies, and I couldn't sift through it. I didn't understand that it could be projected energy. It could be energy from everywhere, because everything is energy, down to the thoughts, the feelings that we have, being in rooms with people, working in companies and sitting next to people, everything, we're all energy. And so I accumulated probably 4 decades of all of this energy. And slowly with sessions, we began to release them. What was really incredible about those sessions was it expanded from even Reiki healing into energy healing. So I'll explain there. What we did was some past life. She channeled past lives of mine. We did astral projections. If you guys know what astral projections are, we did those deep type of meditations. But what it happened to do was it opened up my crown chakra. I had from there, I started having a connection to my higher self. And as we started diving deeper into a lot of these visualizations and meditations, I started to get introduced to my spirit guides. I mean, like a lot of my spirit team. So I don't know if any of you guys resonate with that. I know there are some people who'd love to be in that space. That's how I opened up my crown chakra. I had a very vivid imagination and I went with it. And sure enough, with a lot of that healing modality that we did between Reiki, energy healing, quantum healing, hypnosis therapy, I opened myself up to this incredible world on the other side, the spirit side, which is absolutely real. We just can't perceive it right now with our human body in this 3D form, but it is like just a different dimension. And so there's a part of me too that felt like I'm going crazy. Like, is it my conscious mind and my ego that's telling me things, or is it source? Is it my higher self? Are they guides? And I just kept learning to trust the process. But in that healing process, interestingly enough, we went into the lockdown, right? We went into the pandemic in March of 2020. So instead of course, tuning into media or mainstream media, I turned it off. I went out and I went into nature. I kept doing the meditation. So whether I did my Reiki sessions, my meditation coaching, my meditation sessions, I dive deep into myself and really understanding things. What I also understood is that I did not know how to build as an empath sometimes. And many of you guys who are here that are empathic will understand that it's hard to build healthy boundaries because we're so into feeling other people's feelings that we can sense it, right? And we don't want to hurt people's feelings. So we were always givers and we didn't know how to build healthy boundaries. But sadly enough, it can turn on you because it will weigh on you with all of that energy that you're holding in. So I went on a beautiful 1.5 year journey of like energy healing with her. But in that time frame, I had a hit from like, I finally started communicating with my guides and they were actually answering. So they said, you have a spiritual mission, you know, and it's up to you if you want to answer it. And I believe that many of you guys that are on here or even listening to this would have said yes, because if not, the frequency match wouldn't be here for you to actually be tuning into this today. And it doesn't have to be something like your guides tell you. It's a knowing deep that you can feel it in your heart and soul, and something's driving you to say that there's something different for me out there. I urge all of you guys to follow that path, even if it's that feeling. So whether you're kind of in that state of like, I know I feel it and I don't know what to do with it, I would really encourage you to dive deep into it, because that's really where that soul spark and that ignition and that activation is really starting to happen for you. And you'll start to see all of the clues or how the universe talks to you, right? From there, I ended up saying yes to a spirit, you know, being of service. I didn't know what that was going to look like. By the summer of 2020, my guides had told me, or my higher self had said, you're going to start. And I was like, great, what am I going to do? And they're like, you're going to live stream. And I was like, I'm not going to live stream. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm too old. Like, people are going to laugh at me. I'm not going to, you know, I don't even have any camera experience. And they said, look, just trust us. If you do it and you're successful at it, then you know that that's going to be that you know, that's going to be the road you're going to go down. So I listened to them and I just took a chance. That's another part of it, is when you have this calling to do something, even if it's outside of your profession, it's to follow a passion, take action on it, even if it's a small action, right? Because you'll never know where it's going to lead you down. I think sadly enough, a lot of people come to the end of their lives and say, like, I wish I had done this. Don't have any regrets. And even if you just take that small action and you feel dumb or stupid or a little bit like, I don't know if I'm doing this, just remember that's just your ego trying to stop you from, you know, and all the stories that you've told yourself from the past. It's not really like your, you know, your soul speaking. So be able to sift through all of that as you're going through this. I ended up, fast forward, I ended up live streaming. It did absolutely well. I was just connecting so many people. What really gave me the experience, though, to go into podcasting and to do more camera and work, and actually the main thing was to spread the message, was I understood that this time when I turned on the camera, that I was doing something much greater than for myself. That's how I was able to shed like the limiting beliefs and the ego. I knew that if I turned on the camera and I shared my story, even if it was just where I was at the time, that somehow it would resonate with someone. And if everything is energy, frequency, vibration, it didn't matter if they saw it on the live stream. If it was meant to get them, they would either see it either in a recorded live stream, or eventually they would see it, of course, in the messaging that expanded. Because in October of 2020, I started the 8 Billion podcast. And now I decided, instead of streaming on one platform, which streamed to the motherland in the Philippines, where I was doing a lot of my messaging, I decided to expand the mission and go global. And I started, like I said, I started 8 Billion podcasts in 2020. And here's what's crazy. People usually do like the correct thing. They do the research, they start the podcast, they'll record 5 podcasts, and then they'll release. That's traditionally, like, if you want to follow a successful format. I didn't. I said, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. I met with some producers. I figured out, like, you know, the messaging, and I didn't even have one guest. But I'll tell you, when you're spiritually called to do something, the universe works in the most beautiful ways, because I ended up just finding guest after guest after guest, because my heart was in the right place. So I know that it does, a lot of the storyline that I'm going to tell you sounds very risky. I didn't know any better. So that's why I'm like, okay, I look back now and I was like, I learned the lesson, but it wasn't, I didn't like fail hard. I didn't, you know what I mean? I just kept going and I kept giving myself grace. meaning to say I wasn't holding myself to this stringent like set of rules that things had to be a certain way. I just let it all unfold, and that's how you'll see it. And I hope that this will start to resonate for some of you guys. There are going to be people that enter your life, and you're going to see if there's soul alignment, and if there is, test it out, see if you want to go in that direction together. For myself, it became one guest after another that actually jumped on my platform. And interestingly enough, I was able to send out that message of like, the messaging that I had was of people following their purpose and passion in life. And what was very interesting is the timing was impeccable. Lots of people started igniting their passion because the pandemic put them in situations where they've either pivoted from their career, their businesses have had closed down and couldn't sustain, the lockdown. People started saying to themselves, like, I'm going to really do what makes me happy. I'm not going to do what makes money, because the situation was brought to the forefront of them. Like, I've got, if my career or my business could just be taken away like this, why not do something that I can really live with, like every day, something that speaks from that, that spark in my soul, something that's of service to humanity, that actually contributes to make things better for other people. And there were stories. There was no shortage of stories. And let me backtrack a little. People ask me why I named the podcast 8 billion. When I had a girlfriend ask me, well, what are you going to name your podcast? I said, I don't know. There's 8 billion people. There's 8 billion stories. I can tell 8 billion stories. What was very interesting, so I started, it was a great idea. I said, I'm going to, you guys obviously know what the messaging was. What was really interesting, 6 to 8 months, about 6 months later, I had a soul memory done with someone in the UK. She's another dear friend of mine. See, all of these people that come into my life where you think like, you're just going to work with them, they do really become like your friends and family. She told me, your mission is to pull down the 5D down to the 3D. And I said, oh, is that why I named my podcast 8 billion? She goes, yes, that's why you named your podcast 8 billion. And here's what was really interesting. That same month, after 6 months of being a podcast, I made top 10% in global podcasts on listen notes. That's out of 2.4 million podcasts that were out there. And then people would ask me, how did you do it? I said, I don't know. I never even checked my downloads. So this is incredible. I'm telling you guys, like, when you follow your heart, like, you don't even know how your spirit or your higher self or even your guides that you're not maybe even connected to are really guiding your way, as long as you really know in your heart what you want to do. Like, and like what you were saying too, Lynn, like, whether you have a certification or not. Like, I don't. I appreciate all the certifications that are out there that provide structure and they actually help guide. But I'm telling you, Lynn, I've been on this close to 2 year. I hit 2-year anniversary this month. I have no certifications. And I'm telling you, like, I've built this incredible network, which also includes Peter, right? I came across him in season 3. And that's what I'm saying is, you have to have a deep trust in your journey. And you have to also understand that there are going to be moments that don't feel good. But remember, the moments that don't feel good are just something that's embedded in, like, either your memory that's stored in your body, that's pulled up for healing so you can release it. Because that's where we are right now, especially many of you Reiki healers that are on here. That's what you guys do. You heal, like, with your hands, you pull up energy. And imagine, like, our bodies, if we really are, we're spiritual beings. We're physical beings having a spiritual experience. What we hold in our body is like this vast infinite universe of so many memories of different generations, of different lifetimes, if you will, if that's what, if you can resonate with that. And so you're going to understand that as all of these things start to pull up for you, like, it's just brought up to the fore for you to release and heal, because really, you guys are all infinite light beings. You can be and have and do anything that you want. That's why I encourage all of you guys to be a full expression of your soul. And there are, like I said, there are going to be moments that are a little bit more dense and heavy, but you just have to ask yourself, like, what can I do to, like, consciously be aware of this and then release it? and then move in such a direction. So it's always going to come. Like yesterday, I'll just give you an example. I cried out of nowhere. I didn't know where it came from. I was asking my guides, what is this? I don't know. So I just cried it out. So it was an emotion that pulled up in my body till today. I don't know what it was, but I just gave myself enough grace to release it and cry so it can leave my body. So that's kind of like an example of the beauty of how energy works. You don't always have to know what it is. And when the time comes, you just ask Source to guide you in remembering what it was that you needed to release. So from there, like I said, that's how I started diving deeper after May of 2021 to really be a voice for the fifth dimensional consciousness. And so I'm going to go here and let Colette know, and let me see how much time I have. So in my, like I've released a masterclass, and I talk about this a little bit more in depth. If I'm going to be a voice for the 5D, I need to let people know what the 3D, 4D, and 5D are, right? And so I have that little masterclass. I'll share more of that with you guys later. But it's just an entry level, and I'll share little, I'm going to try and condense it now so then you can understand it. So 3D, of course, is what our physical bodies in here, like we're born to do. Oftentimes people call it like the matrix. What it is that we believe ourselves to be all separate, right? Oh, I'm Lisa and you're Peter and you're Lynn, you know what I mean? And Lynn, you do this, and you're in holistic healing, and now you're moving into, so we each have this identity and we're attached to it. That's, you know what I mean? We make money through either our careers, things, right? We tell stories, or we've been brought up on stories and identity that we've identified with, but everyone's separate. And I'm not saying that it's like not that every man is on their own. It's just that we know each other in this dimension to be, we're like 8 billion different people, right? Fourth dimension now is they call it the gateway. The gateway is where you're starting to understand that there's a little bit more to life. Now you've kind of had a little bit more life experiences. You went through a little bit of pain, and you're just now, or a lot of pain, like big life changes, and you're trying to sift through that. But you're even saying to yourself, like, there's got to be something more to this, right? That's kind of maybe my gateway to fourth dimension would explain where I was in 2008. I was kind of seeing like, oh, this was nice and all this kind of stuff, but was this really sustainable? And even after making all that money, I find myself in this position where I'm in deep pain. I'm literally watching other people suffer, and there was a lot of things that I couldn't control. So one thing that I started to understand was there was deeper meaning to things. And so I set off on my journey, and that's usually where the 4D starts to happen. You start to understand, like, that there, what is self-love, right? How do I give myself radical self-love? Like, what are the different modalities, healing modalities and methods that are out there? Self-love could even be how you exercise and how you take care of your body. You're just having this awareness of who you are, and now really starting to really take care of yourself, whether it's like your emotions and the things that you do, or whether you even take it out and expand into your body, right? Because this is mind, body, and spirit. This whole journey right here is mind, body, and spirit. That's the gateway. They call it 4D the gateway. And I believe that a lot of us are now shifting into that, right? Where a lot of us here, you're starting to catch on, like everyone's starting to have these spiritual practices like meditate, sound baths, sound toning. This is the gateway. This is 4D. And then from there, you just let your journey unfold. You be gentle with your journey because it's so unique. But then you're starting to understand that love becomes the basis of a lot of things. That healing comes from all of the different, love becomes the basis of all of it, but healing can come in so many different forms. Healing can come even in a form like this, where I do a presentation or I speak to you guys. This I call an activation, or sometimes some people call it transmissions, right? So that 4D is the gateway. And I believe that where we are in human history, we've now are expanding into that. We're expanding our conscious minds. We're starting to understand the infiniteness of our being, starting to understand that, yeah, you know what? I could have been a real estate agent for the first 20 years of my life, but here I am. I'm on this spiritual mission. And what's the 5D, right? Everyone's like, and I kept telling my guys, I was like, they're going to think I'm crazy talking about the 5D. And they're like, and here's the amazing thing. When you have a connection to your guides, it's really, I mean, it's not like everyone thinks like it's all these angels. It can be, but sometimes I even joke around with my guides. Like I find it funny, and sometimes, you know, so it'll all just depend, like, you know, how you choose to receive. Right now, like I have dialogue with them, and I was like, they're gonna think I'm crazy talking about the 5D. They're like, no, you have to talk about the 5D. And so that is my mission. 5D now is unity consciousness, where you start to understand that we are not separated, that we are all one, that regardless of our gender, race, excuse me, any of our backgrounds, our history, that at the very core, we're all human. And if you actually expand the way that you see, we are 8 billion different reflections of each other. That's what we're doing. And as we move forward in this human time in history, some people like to refer to it as the Great Awakening. Some people like to refer to it as, you know, the new age of Aquarius that's coming in. It's all going to be a shifting of the feminine energies moving into that. And so when I say that, I'm not going to say like, yeah, this is the feminist movement and we're all about the women. It's talking about the feminine energies that exist in both, all of us, men and women. It's now moving towards a place of love, compassion, and kindness. It's now starting to say, I see you in me and me in you. And as we start to embrace all the unique gifts that we have for each other, that's how we start transmuting and expanding consciousness. We then will move from 4D to 5D one day. Here's what's crazy. Everyone's going to say, well, where is this 5D going to happen? We are living in the greatest human time in history, because we are here for that beginning shift in time. Now, there's so many people saying, you know, will we see it in our lifetime? Well, maybe. But if we could, as individuals, live in the 5D and exist, because as you raise your frequency and vibration into a higher frequency, so where you're really starting to change your thought process, be consciously aware of the things like you're feeling and thinking of, you really are already shifting into that 5D. And so I asked some of my spiritual advisors, could you live in the 5D, like living in the 3D right now? You can absolutely do that. There's some people who are even living in the 5D. They will not be public. They hold a high frequency and vibration, and they're doing it and holding it for humanity. So like all of you guys, like Colette, Elizabeth, Sylvia, Jan, Barbara, Fiona, Ann, your frequency itself, even just your being, wherever you exist, is already helping humanity. So as you choose to move into the frequencies of love, kindness, and compassion, you are changing the world already. And so that's what I was going to say. Okay, so I'm going to leave some space for some questions that you guys have, but I do want to share an expansion project that I decided, you know, I was all about, I have these visions, and my visions kind of get crazy, but I was like, how do I do this? And my guides were like, don't worry. All the people, the places, the situations, the things will all come together. You just have to trust. And that is us moving into the 5D, right? Sometimes there's no blueprint. Sometimes you might not know. And I'm telling you, like Lynn, a lot of you guys, Jan, Barbara, all of you guys, Colette, and all of you guys who shared with me, if you don't know, it's okay to not know. Sometimes I don't even know. I won't even know, you know, I can plan the best that I can, but we have to learn that in this world, we have to learn to pivot fast. And when I say pivot, it could mean just surrender. Surrender to what is, ask for spiritual guidance, ask for the divine to just show you, like, what am I needing to surrender to? And they will guide you. Because oftentimes the time when you're feeling those dense energies, you're in an internal battle, like, I don't know what to do. Then you start feeding that, right? And believe me, I was even there, like I'm there on different days, like I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden something happens. You have to have deep trust in the universe and how it unfolds. And so that is, of course, like my mission for 8 billion, whether it's the messaging of the podcast, I've expanded into a community platform where now Peter next month or next week will be my guest. And so what I do is every month, because I've been so fortunate to have these amazing souls for 5 seasons, I've asked any of them whoever, were teachers, if they'd like to come on my platform and teach for that month focus. So Peter is coming on for November. He's going to talk about Ki Gong, sound tuning, and sound healing. And then I typically will run through a journal prompt. I'll run through a global meditation, and then I'll do an integration community, which is kind of similar to like what maybe we'll be doing here in the next 10 minutes. But like I said, my podcast is called 8 Billion. It's spelled out EIGHT billion, and it's on Apple, Spotify, and all your favorite listening audiogram platforms. And then I also have my full interviews on YouTube if you'd like to share. But one of the big things, whether you choose to come on, please feel free to find me if you guys have any questions, whether you choose to either come and share your space and your light with this, my community. And then I don't even want to see my community because there's no separation, you guys. Myself, Peter, we're all of you guys, we're all on mission. And that's what I want you to know. Love has to be the basis of what you do everything with. That's how we get to 5D. We're building the building blocks for all the little children, all our future children, grandchildren, even for us, right? That's how so when you hold this highest frequency of love, this is where we start to see the world change. So thank you. I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to share. If you want a deeper in-depth of 3D, 4D, and 5D, like if you find me, I have that free masterclass, which will give you about an hour explanation. And I do a slide deck in there, so it goes deeper into that. But I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to share my story. I encourage all of you guys to follow your purpose and passion and just allow it to unfold. So.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. Whee! Big brush. That was really good. Thank you very much. And I really totally agree with you about following your passion. And that was one of the things that I did very, very young, at a very, very young age. I was a bit like you in the corporate world with a decent sales job, big salary, a mortgage, and I was just so miserable. I was so traumatized from my emotional wounds from my parents dying very young, and I just said I can't do this anymore. And I just literally, I was so irresponsible. I just posted but I don't feel I was. I just felt I was following my calling. I just posted the keys to the flat through the estate agent's window, walked out of the flat, said, right, I'm a professional musician. My God, what do I do now? So it was like the biggest step ever. And I did. I just went and did it. And I in those days, it was a lot easier to live in the material world, the matrix, because you could just go and get a job anywhere in any town and hire a little bed sit and just work your way up, which is what I did. But the transition from going from musician to sound healer and Ki Gong instructor and Dharma master was a really big pull for me, because I used to introduce myself as, hi, I'm Peter, I'm a professional musician. That was me. That was my tag. That was my sort of way of me looking at myself and introducing myself to other people. And when I first had to drop that, I felt really sad inside. It kind of dropped a little bit. But that sadness, I used that energy to move into what I wanted to do next. And my passion, you talk about calling, my passion's always been to be in front of people. For some reason, I just wanted to be in front of people. So it was music was the obvious route for that, to get that calling. But now I realize it's actually just getting in front of small groups of people and sharing what I see and what I feel. And that to me is really driven this new phase of my life, because music's still there. As you know, we're going to be organizing this conscious music event. But also it was the drive to work out, where does this energy go? Where do I channel this? Where do I make this work and make this work for me? And it's starting to happen now. I'm starting, as you know, I've been into schools, I've been into companies, I've been into businesses, I'm going to a networking event in Kingston soon, pushing this into the National Health Service, which is like our national service. And they just will not have energy-based exercises in there, but the walls are starting to come down, because I keep pushing and pushing and pushing and speaking and presenting and talking about all of this stuff that we've been talking about. And I've had one instance, I remember going into the 5D, where I was walking through Staines, where I was living at the time, which was like this quite a new center, and it was a beautiful sunny day, but all of a sudden everything became really calm and a bit sort of hazy looking, and there's this beautiful couple just sitting talking, and I just thought, God, that is so beautiful. And I was walking past it, everybody going in and out of shops, and just it felt like I was kind of drifting through something. And then I suddenly woke up when I got close to the road. The road was at the end of the high street, and I just thought, looking, what was that all about? And that was a view of where humanity will be, I feel, at some point, because I've talked about past lives that I've had with other people, and one of them was me really going for materialistic gain, which I don't do it at all anymore. Mine is always about other people. What can I do for you? So I had an experience where I was really got material gain, but I've had also another past life remembrance of where I isolated myself on a planet. And I remember the guys coming in and taking me off that planet, putting me back here for some reason, but I can't remember what that was. And another memory of someone, it was one this time, took me up above the planet and showed me these little lights going off across the planet. It says, you see what happens when you actually help someone to see their true self, their true path? Little lights go off all over the planet. And I remembered that, and I just thought, what was that all about? And now I see what that was all about, because as you start to interweave through your life and you put your little things together, it suddenly all makes sense. Whereas when we're kids, like you were talking about, alluding to earlier, people say, well, don't be so stupid, you're living in cuckoo land, you're living in fairyland. Then you lose your track because you push it down and you bury it, and you're not moving in the right direction. And it's really important to have an open mind, because now what we're channeling is actually coming into mainstream science. I haven't seen this properly, but Jan and I saw, you're into Gaia as well, that they've seen the energy of a thought come in through the crown chakra, and then when it unpacks, it spreads in the brain. So they're starting to see that now in the scientific world. And this is incredible stuff, because we're realizing that the thoughts, some of the thoughts that we have are not coming from the body or the brain. Obviously, we know that, but they are coming down into the crown chakra. And I think this is science matching up with spirituality, which is what's happening. And to back up what you're saying as well, is the Vedas talk about the Kali Yuga, and we're going into a short golden age. This Kali Yuga we're in, where we're going into like 70 years away as the golden age, is unusual because everything usually drops to nothing. This time it's not going to drop to nothing. It's going into the golden age where we are now and moving upwards. So our consciousness needs to come along. And I actually call it tuning in. I think we've all got the ability to tune into our higher consciousness now, which is what cleansing all of this stuff is out. So yeah, I'm just backing up really what you're saying.
No, it's really beautiful, because and I'm not too sure if many of you guys are experiencing it, like most especially this year, I felt the energetic shift. And then I went through a huge process of remembering some things. I could feel things in my body, like you'll feel like you'll have extreme like headaches sometimes. I mean, again, I'm not trying to give medical advice and telling you not to go, but I'm so tuned in with my body. Like I know I'm having like ascension symptoms, because imagine, just like what you were saying, Peter, if we don't completely, if this is a really unique time in human history where humanity doesn't destruct, how in essence, scientifically, how in essence are we moving towards 4D and 5D, like expanded conscious, mind? That's why many of you guys are out here. You believe in holistic healing, because our bodies are going to, in essence, start to change. Right? Now the density of it starts to change because we're streaming more light in. And so how does that happen? We have to eat more natural foods. We have to eat more greens. We have to drink lots of water, because how can we hold so much or be a vessel of light if there's so much density in our body, the memories, the density, all the different stories. And that's why we're, as light workers, you're hearing it. We're really going through it. That's why we're all like, we're kind of like bonding, like, are you okay? Like, like my girlfriends and I start calling each other. Like, she's like, what are you channeling today? And it's incredible to have that type of network to really watch this unfold for me. And I know that it can and do that for all of you if it hasn't already. Your life will be, even if majority of humanity is in 3D, if you keep following and keep holding to like your frequency, everyone around you will be there to support you. Like myself, like I can call on Peter in the UK. I can literally, most of the conversations I have today are very, not at all surface. They're very deep. Like we're all on this mission to hold this space for humanity as we move there. And you guys are at the forefront of it. That's why I'm saying there's going to be more than enough abundance, especially if you stay true to like what you were saying, like what Peter was saying was, I'm not about like the material anymore. I'm more about how do I make that impact in your life? Because when I do that for you, you will go out and now do that. Because we're all going to be strategically placed around Earth and humanity to really raise this vibration.
Yeah, it's all happening and coming in very quickly now. And to back up again what you're saying, they are saying that we're changing from a carbon to a crystalline base, which holds the light more. And we've had it in our household where we're vegans, and I couldn't believe it when we had a Mexican chili with kidney beans. We found the kidney beans heavy. I mean, I've been
Right?
like, kidney beans are heavy, and it's like, whoa, that was heavy. And it's like an enormous change in the body. I can't do anything like I used to do. I can't eat the amount that we used to eat. Can't drink the amount we used to drink. We drink lots of water now, lots of juices and smoothies. Complete change.
Complete change. Even Peter is like almost all like it's like, that's what's really great. I couldn't even understand the concept when I even read it maybe a year and a half ago, that we would be more liquid based moving into the future.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
But if you even go back to the times of Edward Casey, when he was channeling and he's talking about the times of Lemuria, and where I'm starting to realize that these mythologies, I didn't realize in 1270 in the West, they turned mythology from being a factual based word to a mythology, i.e. it's ethereal, it's just a story. I didn't realize they did that. So all these stories in the Vedic scripts and the Mayan calendars, they looking like they're real. So Edward Casey was channeling, wasn't he, back to the times of Lemuria, and they were saying that they were light-based beings that came into the material world. And they're saying now that we became so enwrapped in this material world, which is why we've had this Kali Yuga. It all goes along with the Vedas and the Kali Yuga. So we come down into this material world, it's all heavy, and now it's coming back up. We're starting to tune back up. So all the history, all the timelines and everything is all sort of coming together. And you talk about astrology, that's what's happening. It's the age of Aquarius, which is the golden age, the feminine-based water system of Aquarius. And it's just beautiful to say. I call it Shakti rising. You got Shiva falling, and you think we've been trapped by the boys' club. I call it the boys' club, where the boys' club is like completely controlled and dominated everything and told you that you can't think for yourselves, and it's just been horrible, especially if you're sensitive. It's like, no, you can't talk, you're sensitive. What's the matter with you? We're boys here now, we're talking. And it's been the boys' club that taken over all the financial systems and many of the major religions and things like that. And now there is that feminine energy that's rising again, that's going to meet in the middle of the heart chakra, and we're all going to be actually existing properly as human beings, not in this contrived and conditioned way that we're living in at the moment. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I really think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's coming soon to a venue near you, because you are the venue.
I was just going to say, ladies and the gentlemen who are listening to the replay, and of course you, Peter, they need us. They need us we all need each other. And now I'm asking you guys to use your superpowers of love, kindness, and compassion, everything that you're innately born with, to spread that to all the people that you come across those souls with. You do play a very pivotal role in human history, and that's what I'm saying. Your superpowers is love. It's incredible. That's everyone's all like, what is all this witchcraft, sorcery? Energy, like these stories have been told to make us think that like witches were bad, and I mean, I have so many friends and sisters that are going through such a process of remembrance, for remembering a past life where they might have been burned at the stake or killed because they spoke their voice. That's why sometimes you'll have blocked throat chakras, or sometimes you'll start to remember things that you're like, that didn't even happen in my lifetime. It's because for many generations, we were blocked from being able to express ourselves in such a way, or we were turned against each other, where it was scarcity and we were competition. But the true magic is in all of us bonding together and sharing that, giving each other unconditional love and letting each other know, like, you matter. I am you, you are me. We are all one. This is unity consciousness. And it's not a woo-woo thing, you guys. I mean, even there's even the scales of the Schumann reports. I'm not too sure, Peter, if you're kind of
Human
following all of
resonance,
that.
yeah, 7.8
Human
hertz.
resonance. There you go. Thank you so much for being. Yeah, I mean, the reports are off the scales this year. We are expanding, so you're feeling it on all levels. So just be gentle and give yourself so much grace as all of these memories are just leaving your body, because we're ushering in the new earth. You really are.
Because there's a low frequency of 7.83 hertz, and it was like our high theta, low alpha. Now it's moving up the alpha spectrum, and that means we're going to be connecting more with the earth as our brain waves rise up, and it's incredible what's happening. I'm going to have to go in a minute because we've got another meeting, unfortunately. Oh my goodness. Anybody got any last comments, questions, or suggestions? Don't forget 8 billion, Liza Florida, 8 billion. Go to her website.
Can I just say, Lisa, the Pam Gregory, who's very well known for astrology, said that this eclipse today, and even worse on the November 8th one, is making people very emotional. So I just wanted to say that to you, because you said you had all this emotion as well. So it may have been that as well.
No, thank you so much, Lynn, for sharing. It's very true. I'm super sensitive to like astrology and eclipse, that I was even feeling the run up to the energies with the eclipse 2 weeks ago. Because I know for myself, like, it falls in my 7th house. So that's committed relationships, I'm assuming, in business and in love. So I'm all like, where are all these memories coming from? But bless your soul, Lynn. Thank you so much. I really, for all of you guys, I share this space with you. I'm holding the most expansive space for your soul evolution and for you guys to be transformative and make an impact with other people's lives. Know that you're here for a reason and that you play this role here.
Thank you, Lisa.
So much.
What a beautiful message.
So much
Thank you
love.
very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
And there's another example of another beautiful human being shining like a star. We're all stars. We're all stars, and we all should shine like stars. So
yeah,
thank you so much for all turning up.
Thank you, Peter, as well.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Peter, for having me. I really
Well, you're in now. You've done the Bright Beings Academy as well. So we're doing collaborations all over the place. I think it's time for collaboration. There's no competition anymore. It's all collaboration, working together to help each other get through this very difficult time in human history. It's very difficult, and it's lovely to see you all. So many people turn up as well. It's really good. So that's good. And we've got to go, unfortunately, because we've got another meeting. We're doing our conscious music for conscious people.
Yes, we're expanding, guys. So
we're going to be doing an event in January. So we're just going to go back scenes now and start organizing that. So hopefully we'll be talking about that at some point in the future. Anyway, big love to all of you.
Yes, and to you.
Virtual hug. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all.
So much love and blessings.
Lynn.
Thank you.
Barbara, Elizabeth, thank you all so much. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.